Do you see a world for in your 20s? Something I heard the other day is basically to get to position of wealth, and as somebody that manages a lot of different wealth portfolios and a lot of different people that have made money in multiple different ways, what we have heard in our 20s is basically this is a time, like Blaze said, push all your chips into the middle because that's most likely how you're going to get there. If you were advising somebody in their 20s who, let's just take a good example. They make $120,000 a year. They are great savers. They might have a couple grand saved up, a couple hundred grand saved up, maybe let's say 120 grand saved up. What would you advise them in that position? Because I know a lot of people that are listening right now in their 20s, it's not necessarily realistic for them to have multi-millions saved up, but they might have a couple hundred grand and they want to stretch that money. What should they do?
Couple hundred grand in their 20s is a pretty good number.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's actually
great
that's
number.
actually
That's
not
great number.
that's actually not bad. So
Whatever they're doing
pretty good right now. Based upon that, what I would recommend doing is from an investment standpoint, like what Blaze was saying earlier, is you're in your 20s, you take the risk because you have the time. Go ahead if you're investing, be aggressive. Again, you have to know the right investments to go into, but yes, go be aggressive. Even if you take a certain portion of that, sock it away, put it in those investments. Don't even look at it. The market's going to go up and down. The biggest thing is everyone has fear. Everyone gets emotional attachment to everything. You don't even look at it. You do it. I guarantee you in 5-10 years, you're going to see that greater, especially if there's a market uptrend. It's just the way it is. But from a different standpoint is depending on what you want to do with your future, is also when you're younger, take the risk. You have to take the risk. If you want to get to that other level and continue to go, you have to put all your chips in and take the risk, because whether it's you want to start your own business, whatever it is that you want to do, you have to do it at that point in time because you have the time. Time is on your side at that point. But not only that is, we have more in our mind that we can go do what we need to do. But let's say if it doesn't work out, there's always time to do something else. But not only that, you learn, well, why didn't this work? What can I do differently? So that I think is important as well. And the biggest thing, what I've, just talking to a bunch of different people, especially younger, whether in their 20s, what I hear is, well, I don't know how to do it. I don't have the time. And there's just always something going on. And I'm afraid. Those are the biggest things that I always hear. And if you want to be successful, you just have to go and you have to do it. There are times you're going to fail. It's the way it is. You're going to do it, but you don't stop. That's the biggest thing. You keep going and you keep going and you keep going until you make it work. And that's the biggest thing that I think is extremely important. But you definitely have to just go ahead and do it, because if you don't, it's never going to happen. And that's the biggest thing too that I see. It's funny. I was having a conversation with someone the other day about this. Is everyone, they're like, oh, I want to make $500,000 or $1 million a year. I want to work 1 day a week, and that 1 day, 2 hours, and I want a 1 hour lunch break. Oh, so basically 1 hour a week. It's like, it doesn't work that way. So you have to put the time, the effort into it, and then you can significantly make things happen.
I agree with you 100%. And I believe that two things move the market: greed and fear. Do you think we're in a greed or fear market right now?
I mean, right now, I think there's greed, but fear is close because of just things that are happening in the economy, election year, things like that. Once that happens, it's just always known. There's always a little bit of fear there because there's the unexpected. And when there's the unexpected of what people don't know what might happen, especially in an election year, there's always going to be some fear. But because of different types of investments, there's definitely a lot of greed out there too, because people see the potential and the amount of money that is being made. So they want to go ahead and they want to
Do you think fear equals opportunity for fear for some equals opportunity for others?
100%. So the way
Going back to the risk thing, I just want to mention something that for all of our listeners, taking risk in your 20s, it doesn't mean you're going to go out and buy something stupid. Risk means you still do a research for a company you're going to invest with, but you believe in that company, in 10 years from now it's going to grow. That's a risk.
Correct.
For a starter company or anything, but don't buy just something that someone told you, oh, that's a good stock, and and then they're 80% down. That's stupid. So calculated risk.
100%. Correct. Calculated risk, 100%. And like what you said, is something that you believe in, but not only that, something that don't look just for the short term. What's going to be popular, or what is the trend, or what's going to happen 1, 5, 10 years down the road. Look at that, look at it from a whole, and then you analyze that, and then you say, okay, am I going to take the risk with this or something different?
When you look at, kind of shifting gears a little bit, when you look at the one thing that we talk about on this podcast a lot is values, family values, things that you are born with. And for somebody that has grown up in an Italian family, as somebody has also grown up in an Italian family, we understand that the dynamic in terms of how you're raised and what you're taught and what the values that you're instilled with are very different than a traditional American family system. How do you believe how you were raised leveraged you to be able to live the life that you live now, and how did that set you up for success?
That's a great question, because I think that's extremely important and not too many people focus on that. So like you said, I was brought up Italian family, very loving, passionate, strong-willed people, but also very firm and strict. I was never handed anything. I always had to do, no matter what, even when I was a kid, if I wanted something, do some work for it, and then, okay, maybe I'll do this for you. So at a very young age, that was always instilled. I always had to do something for something, especially if I
But not crying.
No.
You're not going to cry yourself out to get something.
No, exactly.
You gotta do the work.
That's when the frying pans came out, and then you got hit in the head. But so
Very similar culture, though.
yeah, exactly. And I think the biggest thing to that was when I was also younger, though, I didn't realize, well, why was mom and dad yelling at me, or why were they saying no to this or no to that? But then when I got older, I saw that it gave me discipline, but not only that, I had the tools that I learned from them being how they were to be able to do things on my own, but not only that, give me the drive and the ambition to go ahead and do it myself. And I think that's extremely important. And I think, I'm grateful for them, because I don't know if it wasn't for them and how I was raised, who knows where I'd be. Did I get hit with a wooden spoon? Is that the other thing? But I mean, part of that is I think that's also part of who you become. And because also nowadays, I think a lot of it is everyone gets handed everything. So no one understands really what worth ethic is, or the value of a dollar, because everything is just handed to everyone so easily. So I think, speaking to that, depending on the culture that you're from and how you're raised, I think that definitely significantly can potentially help. And in my case, it definitely helped from being in Italian culture.
I was raised to appreciate the journey and the hard times, getting to that, next step, next level, next reward. So, and it's always the case. The days when you're grinding brings you more happiness than when you buy the Lamborghini, or you buy the
100%.
whatever you're buying. It's materialistic. But that's the medal of honor that you got to reward yourself to keep pushing,
and then you just keep pushing.
Yeah.
100%.